Black Sheep Shipping presents Mommy's Favorite. Content warnings can be found in the description.
The first thing it remembers was the warmth, the dark. In the beginning, none of its eyes worked too well. Sight would come to it later. It first recognized the feeling of its legs kicking out, scrambling, flowing hemolymph frantically pushing its body out as its tiny brain sparked to life. It was a struggle. There was a barrier between it, its body, this new strange mode of existence, and the outside world. It pushed out with its legs and felt a barrier stretching taut. The barrier wouldn't budge. Dark, tight, cozy, this tiny universe, all to itself. After the initial shock, it began to feel comfort. It still feels nostalgic for this time. Eventually, though, it got impatient, felt more of itself. It wasn't just legs, no. It had a tiny mouth, too. And soon the mouth gave it a new sensation. Hunger. It could do something to stave hunger off, but it first had to escape. Its first great challenge. It pushed hard against the silky smooth barrier between its egg and what lay beyond. It could begin to feel this new territory through its narrow perception. Tiny needlepoint pinpricks gave it a cursory idea of what was around it. Wet, squishy, warm, warmer still, soft. It felt something poke back. Other legs. More of it! Its siblings by the dozens, thousands, all hungry like it, most trying to break out. Some would fail, never pierce the barrier of the egg, remain trapped forever in their own tiny universe of one. Others had already beaten the barrier, slithering and skittering about the interstitial space between us. And what a lovely space it was. Suspending it and its siblings, a slippery, slick world. Tiny hairs on its body gave it the idea that this slickness was what it needed. That was its motivation. Knowing what lay just beyond was food. It couldn't be late, couldn't let greedy brothers and sisters get to the good stuff first. So it jabbed, it pressed, it poked, into the warm, smooth, wet, delicious world beyond. Finally, it got a leg through. It could wiggle it around, make itself aware of the delicious world beyond. But there was more, a certain thrumming to it, sending a shiver down its hairs and into its core. Scary, but exciting. A sibling's leg passed over, not even minding it, then another. All were aware of each other, but the food was all that really mattered. Then another foothold, another leg hooked into the same spot, slowly opening its window, pushing and pushing with all its might. All of a sudden, the egg collapsed. All at once, it was thrust into this tight, wriggly space. It explored, eating greedily as it went, tunneling through thick, gooey tracks as its siblings stepped over it, and it stepped over them. They were all a swarm, a mass, one big happy family. This went on for some time, until the shaking and the noise came to a slow, gradual stop. The food began to be used up. All the eggs that would hatch did. All the siblings that could pour forth already had, and then there was only one more direction to go. Out. Another layer. This universe too was finite. Slick, warm, filled with eggs, but now depleted, beginning to grow cold. The excitement gone, the noise diminished. The world no longer thrummed, no longer shouted, and it was, in and of itself, another egg. Then it and all its siblings suddenly gained new thoughts, all at once, all dimly aware of what brought them here, what plucked them from the void and deposited them into this delicious gooey world of abundance that somehow ran dry. Mummy, she was out there somewhere, and they all knew. It knew, so they ate outwards with effort. Some of them breached the finite world, the cradle of growth, into the outside. To get there, the food grew harder, rigid, with new materials unfamiliar to nascent leg hairs. This sensation of something that wouldn't budge, couldn't quite be eaten, but could be squeezed past. This final barrier was difficult, requiring more frantic skittering, a pile-up of hundreds of siblings, but with effort there was egress. The outside! The final universe! And it was a big one. Out there, somewhere, was Mummy. Upon leaving the old world of the eggs suspended in food, it realized that that world had been a great creature. Something like Mummy, but not quite the same. Different, subservient, meant to be eaten and discarded. Human. Did it too have the potential to grow so big? So strong? This human creature was stuck to a spot in the outside with sticky stuff. It would grow to learn well. Silk. Mummy's trick she had shared with her babies. Now, the overwhelming size of the outside was apparent. This great cradle of a now-dead creature, having been nothing but a cramped, dark, plentiful bassinet, an outer egg still to be hatched from. There were no more eggs now, nothing else to escape. So what to do? Mummy would know. It tried to make silk like the stuff Mummy had left behind for them, holding the old world still, despite its squirmings. Eyes, mouth, legs, hair, and now something new. Spinnerets. It followed some of its siblings' example, acting on some impulse that was poorly understood, but didn't need to be. Its silk was weaker than Mummy's, much smaller, but that could be a good thing. It let out a strand, pulling it along with back legs out of impatience. A single weak strand, drifting in the vicious indifference of this new world. It was lifted, up and away. Far away, faster away than it could see. If it had a mind like Mummy's, the speed and height might have been too much, but the comfort of Mummy's distant presence was enough to sail towards. It drifted like this, and crawled for many, many times the lifetime of the old world. It skittered through tiny gaps in cold, hard structures, flew through wet, pushing streams of force on what weak strands of silk it could muster. Its siblings were doing the same. Many of them didn't survive the journey, squished or lost, or stuck in thick cold water. It would see many new creatures, great and small. some similar to it, but lacking a certain understanding, lacking the same kind of imperative, lacking a mummy of their own. Others were great, lumbering beasts. These were closer to Mummy, huge versions of the world from before, stomping around. Human creatures. Occasionally, one of them would notice its siblings and react with disgust, swatting and squishing. They didn't love us because they weren't Mummy. We climbed over massive stone worlds and flew through fields of tall green hair, swaying in the force that carried our thread far and wide. Most of its siblings got separated. Maybe they would find Mummy in their own way. If not, all the better. Finally, it found her! The pulse pointing to Mummy screamed and screamed from deep within, until it suddenly went quiet, content with the sight of Mummy sitting and focusing on something. She looked just like the other great creatures, the ones that sometimes screamed or killed when they saw us. But it knew Mummy was so much more. Inside her was something different. What was she doing? She wasn't eating, wasn't searching for us. It saw Mummy from above, but Mummy didn't seem to see it, or the few siblings that had survived the journey. Why not? Didn't Mummy have a signal pointing to it too? It decided to go further still, crawling over Mummy's body. Being near Mummy made everything make more sense. All of a sudden, the nuances of the world fell into place. Mummy smiled as it crawled over her hand. So loving, so soothing. Happy to see it. To see its siblings too, but Mummy looked right at it. But as happy as it was to finally be with Mummy, there was a certain disappointment. It was right, and Mummy knew it. It could be so much greater. Greater than Mummy and these beasts around her. The humans. Mummy looked like them, but she was more like us. Deep down, anyway. It understood that to be near Mummy, it had to hide. Humans were nearby Mummy all the time, emitting their great sounds to Mummy. Mummy made noises back, and they seemed to love it. They loved looking at her, just like it did, just like its siblings did. But who were they to deserve Mummy's love? They didn't know what she really was. Eventually, it would come to understand. It could never be like Mummy, like the other humans, no matter how badly Mummy wanted it to, wanted any of her siblings to. It would always be this, a tiny feeler for Mummy to keep a grasp on the hidden parts of this great, huge world. Mummy could make more of it, but what Mummy wanted most of all was to make one of it like her. Not just a little feeler, but another Mummy. To do that, Mummy needed someone else. It would do anything to make Mummy happy, even if it meant Mummy loving a new sibling more than she would ever love any of the others. To make the humans think Mummy was like them, she went to the same place almost every day and spent time with them. Working. A new human recently began spending time at this place too. Mummy was hungry. We could all tell. It was like we could feel it, the same hunger we had bursting out of our eggs, the gnawing pain of a stomach that had never filled itself before. Mummy could go a long time without eating, but it had been a long while. One human was different from the others at Mummy's work. A male. He looked a little bit different, sounded a little different. It was hard for it and its siblings to tell, but to Mummy and the rest of them, it seemed obvious. It took the time to observe this human. No directive from Mummy, just curious. The other humans seemed to engage with him too, liked him because he was different. It was clever, hiding just out of reach for a long time, finding meals in the humans' footfalls, always finding its way back to Mummy. But it went too far. It followed this different human as far as it ever had, to a quiet, dark place. A place with lots of other humans Mummy spent time with. There was lots of noise, change. Was he being lost like so many of its siblings? No, this wet, dark place changed the humans, made them louder, easier to get close to. But it got careless. The male was getting more nutrients for the rest, a function of his nascence. It tried to get close, learn more for Mummy until he saw it. It froze, tried to slip away from the human's sight, but he batted it off. Not hard enough. Lucky. It crawled away as fast as it could after being struck. A heavy blow, but not a deadly one. As it left, the others burst into noise, sounds like a wave of new siblings being born. All of the different human who saw it with such alarm and disgust that it must have known what it was planning for him. This male being different made him a target, made him food. One night, Mummy gathered us all up. Time to hunt. Sent it on a special task, taking Mummy's silk and weaving it across the empty, desolate spaces this male traveled. A giant metal branch, like that on a tree. It got to work, pulling Mummy's thread, Mummy's strong thread over and across. The silk was thick for a creature of its size, but to the human, it would scarcely be visible, hanging imperceptible, like the air itself. Mummy stretched and unfurled herself, finally, to see her closer to her true self, closer to it, to us. She shuddered as thin, long legs pulled themselves out of deep, wet wells at her shoulders, draping themselves in a huge cloth to hide. Mummy's face split and stopped looking like one of the humans. She was familiar. She was beautiful. Just as it thought, the male walked right into Mummy's thread and suddenly couldn't move. The branch shuddered and shook, but the male's limbs were frozen. Soon, he'd be another world of meat, another fresh universe for more siblings to inherit. His screams frightened it, but it had to stay, make sure the job was done. Mummy appeared. At first, he was glad to see her, but as she approached, hungry, so hungry, he knew she was here for food. Mummy was close, almost revealing herself. Any closer and the different male would recognize Mummy from pretending to be a human. But he escaped. It didn't do a good enough job on the web. He managed to fling some sharp thing into his claws, pricking and peeling away at the silk. It released with a snap, just as Mummy pounced, the strange human getting his chance to escape. It was dark there, many twists and turns, like the world from before. It stayed with him the whole while, straining its megaform to keep up with such a giant. But Mummy couldn't see. There was no good way to show Mummy. She couldn't hear its thoughts, sense its location like how it could sense Mummy's. Mummy lost him. Even as the different human became slick with wet salt, fluid draining from its eyes, endoskeleton flush with fear, it remembered how upset he was at the sight of it and tried to elicit that same reaction, reveal his position to Mummy. It crawled over him slowly, putting its small, fragile life on the line in hopes of Mummy's meal. But salty and shivering as the male's flesh was, he stayed silent, just long enough for it to be flung off again, exploding away with noise. By then, it was too late. Mummy was too far gone. It thought the different male might run away after this, like prey often does. Maybe it would figure out what Mummy really was. But that didn't seem to happen. If anything, as it returned to the gathering point of humans, day after day, it seemed to spend more time with Mummy, stuck in her human form. It watched from the shadows as Mummy found time to make noises at this creature, watching him make noises back. When she did this with other humans, it knew it was just to survive. But here, Mummy sounded different. She sounded happy, warm, lively. Maybe she didn't just need this human for making another Mummy. Maybe Mummy had a deep feeling about him, the same way it and its siblings had a deep connection to her. Was such a thing possible? It could be that this different human wasn't just food. He could be just what Mummy needed to make more siblings. Special siblings. Siblings like Mummy, not like it. It could never be like Mummy. But it would help. This human was promising, but he needed to be kept in control, be kept weak. Keep him from getting too far away from Mummy again, but in a different sort of way. Maybe it was Mummy's favorite all along. For now, at least, it knew that when new siblings came along, if they were like Mummy, they would be the whole world to her. But that was okay, as long as it could take part in their creation. It thought it might have been Mummy's favorite when it was given a new, special job. Mummy spent most of her time looking like a human now, spending more and more time with him. Now, instead of trying to feed on him, she mated with him, as humans do. The first time, Mummy sent out a command to it, the most special job of all. Slowly, gingerly, it glided down from above as the male mated with Mummy. At just the right time, as Mummy dug her claws into the male's back, it bit him, a special venom dreamed up by Mummy herself. He was too excited to notice, and Mummy would keep it that way. Its fangs broke his salty skin, fine enough that he must have barely been able to feel it. The venom pulsed deep into the male's delicious red, poisoning his own special universe that was too precious to feed a new brood. This venom would keep the male weak in the coming days, reliant on Mummy and its siblings for new doses. He would never know, but he was deep in Mummy's web. It watched as Mummy pierced the world with her laughter, the male by her side, the two of them slurping up long, wet worms from strange devices. Maybe this human could be more. But Mummy still needed real food. Humans had their own mechanisms, and it didn't understand them. But it could understand when Mummy was upset, and Mummy understood them. One day, another human that spent a lot of time in the same place as Mummy made noises at the different male, Mummy's mate. This one was smaller than Mummy looked as a human. She had less of the innate pull some of the other humans seemed to have towards one another. But she behaved like she could be his mate too. That wouldn't do. The venom kept him close, but Mummy felt strongly about what was happening. All of its siblings knew, her thoughts were like a great invisible force, spurring its brood into action without question. It didn't quite understand Mummy's thoughts. Mummy could get what she needed from this human male easily. But for the new siblings to grow, the real siblings, there was need of food. New little universes, like the one it came to be in. Mummy could provide for her new brood and ensure the different human had no other possible mate, all at once. So once again, Mummy shed her disguise. Even more of her human appearance bled away this time, her head splitting apart until she looked like it. Bulbous black eyes peeked under her human ones. Her human mouth flap split into 2 pieces and hung uselessly down, making way for Mummy's own fangs. They were beautiful. She was beautiful. Every time Mummy hunted, she needed to be careful. But this time, Mummy acted differently. She didn't ask for its help, or the help of any of its siblings. She waited in still water filled with plants, lurking just outside the hard ground this potential other mate crept along. She didn't even notice when Mummy attached a strand of silk to her leg. Water killed many of its siblings on the way to Mummy, but Mummy could handle it. She was big, too big to get stuck and dragged under, but water might not have been the best place to hide. It and its siblings could only watch as Mummy thrashed with her in the shallow, grassy water, piercing her with her beautiful legs. But somehow, the rival mate got away, dragged herself to the edge of some floating ground. Mummy made her way back to her. Then she did something it didn't know she could do. She made noises at her, human noises, while still halfway into her true body. They came out echoing and deep, and the rival mate didn't like it. Just like with Mummy's mate, salty water poured from the rival mate's face. It didn't help her. Mummy didn't bite her right away. She twisted one of her true legs and pierced underneath the rival mate's mandible, lifting her up in the air. It greedily plunged its fangs into her open skin, pumping in more and more venom along with its siblings, much more than with Mummy's mate, enough to keep her alive, but motionless. It took a long, long time to get the rival mate where she needed to go. Mummy had to hide her husk under floating bits of ground, on the upside of strange caves with huge metal monsters speeding through them, into foul dens of fetid water. But bit by bit, the rival mate was kept alive and brought to Mummy's true home, the secret, dark, wet spaces, untouched by human meddling. There she was stuck to the wall, along with the others. It could feel the growth from deep within Mummy. The new siblings were coming. They'd take longer, but they'd arrive. Its place in the world was coming to a close. What would Mummy need it for when these new siblings arrive? No matter. For now, it would always be Mummy's favorite. I have to close up the face part of this now, but thank you for listening to me.
This episode was written and directed by Alex Valentino and edited by D.V. Clarke. The Hatchling was played by Ant Langman. This episode was announced by Alexander Hanley, with musical theme by Onlooker Air and cover art by OddOblivion. This episode of Black Sheep Shipping is licensed under a Creative Commons Attribution, Non-Commercial Share-alike 4.0 international license. Thanks for listening.